Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and before we begin, I've recently released my amazing, detailed, comprehensive and very dramatic review of the all-new Harley Davidson Pan America 1250 on my main bike reviewing channel, Ignite Motorrad. I'll link that up here and down in the description. Make sure you check it out. It's a crazy video. Alright, so getting on to this video, I said I'd be making a separate video about my bike rental experience in Goa, so as promised, here it is. This video is also gonna have a review of the bike since I had a day with the motorcycle and I can't help but review it. The Royal Enfield Interceptor 650 BS6. So I'll start from the beginning. Last year when we went to Goa, I couldn't find a bike rental place once I got there, or the places which I did find only had scooters and the bikes were already rented out. So this time I decided to do a little advanced planning, and so a month before I went there, I asked around if anybody knew a bike rental place in Goa, and of course the place I asked was our Tivra Discord server. From there I got the number of a contact in Goa who helped me sort out a Duke 390 for me and a Himalayan for my dad. The 390 was for 2500 rupees per day, the Himalayan was for 1300 rupees per day. Unfortunately, a day before we left for Goa, I messaged to confirm this, and the guy who I was renting the bike from had to be somewhere else because of an emergency, so he wouldn't be there to sort out the bike. So he gave me his friend's number and told me he'd sort it out for me. This friend was Quintus, and he's the one you should contact if you ever need to rent a bike in Goa. His Instagram and phone number are on the screen right now. So Quintus initially said he wouldn't be able to rent me a bike for one day, but I managed to convince him somehow. But the rates were elevated by 500 rupees, and the 390 and Himalayan we'd initially picked were unavailable. So me and my dad decided to book a Royal Enfield Interceptor 650 for a day between the two of us for 3000 rupees. If we wanted it for more than one day, the rate would have been rupees 2500 per day. So the reason we chose this bike is because the only other bike available was a Duke 250, and since the Interceptor was quite a pricey machine to rent for a day and has a great back seat which is pretty comfortable, we figured it would be enough for us from a rider plus pillion point of view, which it was. So Quintus got the bike at our hotel at around 10:30 am, after which he told me to shoot a 360-degree pan of the bike to compare with while returning for any damage to the vehicle. And we had to pay him 5000 rupees total, 3000 for the bike and 2000 as a refundable security deposit. Once we got the bike, it had 3 bars of fuel on the gauge, so we had to return it the next day with at least that much fuel in it. One thing I wasn't too pleased about is that Quintus told me that he could bring the bike to me whenever I wanted, so it seemed like the pickup and drop off was flexible, that is, return the bike 24 hours after getting it, since he didn't specify what time I had to get the bike. Get the bike as in he didn't specify at what time the 24 hours had to start. He just said he could bring it around the hotel whenever I wanted. So obviously it comes across as a very flexible system, which it was not. So since he said he could bring it around whenever I wanted, I told him to bring it at around 10 to 10:15, since that's when my breakfast would probably over. But the timing system wasn't flexible as I believed it to be because of how he conveyed the overall system and procedure, and I really feel like I should have been informed about this beforehand. The next morning, Quintus said he'd come pick up the bike at 9:30, which was an hour early, so it was 23 hours since we got the bike at 10:30 and we were returning at 9:30. So I told him it hadn't been 24 hours, but he said it was company policy to pick it up at 8:30 am, but he'd somehow adjust to 9:30. So evidently this company, that is Peter Rose Bike Rentals, doesn't have a pickup time for the bike but does have a drop-off time, which is super weird. So make sure you're aware of this when you rent the vehicle and get all the terms and conditions clear so you can pick it up at the right time and get the full 24 hours with the vehicle. I would have liked the extra hour with the bike in the morning, which I was entitled to since I went for a solo ride within Goa that morning and had to rush back before 9:30. So yeah, that's something I wasn't too chuffed about. Anyways, when Quintus got us the bike, it was in really good condition, so I'm very pleased with that. Riding the bike extensively over a day revealed no issues at all with the machine, which I'm super pleased, since bike condition is something you have to be very careful about while renting. 10 on 10 for the condition of the vehicle. When we got the bike, we had to drop back Quintus at his office and fill in some paperwork, which I suggested my dad do so he could get a feel of the Interceptor. Alright, so the bike was with us, we had plenty of time and I was super excited. Without further ado, I started this incredible bike and set off with my dad. This Interceptor also had a custom exhaust system, because of which the exhaust note was absolutely mental. The bike has a mountain of torque and power and has power available throughout the rev range. While I have experienced this engine before in both the 650 twins, this is the first time I've had the bike for such a long time, and I can indeed confirm that it is a masterpiece. It doesn't feel like old Enfield units and has such a muscular and torquey feel to it that there's limitless amounts of fun on offer. The refinement is pretty great too, especially from Royal Enfield standards. I'd called up my mate Anish a day before going to Goa to ask if I should wear a full pant while riding the bike, since he owns an Interceptor and was therefore the right person to consult. He suggested that I do wear a full pant, since while the engine retains a good and manageable temperature on open roads, it can get a little hot in traffic. I did encounter a little traffic and therefore some heat from the bike, so the full pant was probably a good idea. First off, we headed off to Fort Aguada to take in the sights there. The view from there is pretty awesome, although we did go in afternoon sunlight, so it was pretty hot out, so we got back on the move as soon as possible. After that, we just roamed around for a bit and took in the sights and enjoyed the scenic roads. We filled the bike with 700 rupees of petrol, and petrol being a little cheaper in Goa than in Pune is always pleasant. Coincidentally, as soon as me and my dad switched the roles of rider and pillion and my dad took the rider's seat, all the traffic miraculously vanished and sweeping open roads began. To compensate me not getting my share of open roads, I went out for a solo ride the following morning too, where I could really pin the throttle. Later on, me and my dad also went to Vagator beach to have lunch at a beach-facing shack where we had excellent prawns curry and rice. The Interceptor has one of the better suspension setups out there. Being a retro style bike with standard amounts of suspension travel, you can still very much feel the irregularities of the road, but the ride isn't at all what you'd call uncomfortable. It's actually really good. The posture is very slightly on the aggressive side for this bike style. Again, I'm specifying for this bike style. It doesn't have forward set foot pegs but are rather slightly rear set, so that the rider triangle gives you a blend of rider engagement and comfort, and this is a very composed and relaxed bike when you want it to be, and can also be a frantic mile muncher when you command it to do that. Let's not forget that this is the relaxed one of the 650 twins. The Continental GT is leaps and bounds more committed and aggressive, but the Interceptor is way more comfortable. The seat foam is really nice, the cushioning is generous for both the rider and the pillion, so the extensive durations on the saddle aren't an issue at all. However, the position of the pillion's foot pegs aren't that great. I'd say they're a little too rear set as well as high up, and this results in a bit of a cramped posture for the pillion, which can lead to discomfort after a while. This discomfort is even more if the pillion is a slightly taller fellow with long legs. I'm 5 feet 10 and my dad is 5 feet 11. We both found the rear foot peg placement quite uncomfortable. The Interceptor is a relatively heavy bike, but once you're on the move, the bulk is managed so well by the engine that it simply glides into the bends seamlessly. All this paired with the mental twin-cylinder powerhouse means that this bike can reach crazy speeds and manage its way through twists and turns spectacularly while doing so. It's also one of the most stable bikes I've extensively ridden. Doesn't matter how low the speed is, RE balances it out perfectly and keeps trudging along through the traffic. It's just such a composed and well put together machine that I've genuinely begun to admire how spectacularly it does everything. Even the build quality is supreme and solid with no lower end bits anywhere. The motorcycle feels premium in all aspects and never failed to put a smile on my face, so I was properly sad when I had to return it to Quintus the following morning. So in this price bracket where bikes like the Ninja 300 and Duke 390 sit, in my mind the Interceptor currently has the top spot. Also yes, I have ridden all these bikes a fair bit. The only thing I can't decide in this said hierarchy is whether I'd put the Interceptor above or below KTM's Adventure 390, because that's also a bike I really love. Anyways, my overall experience with renting a bike in Goa was really good, and make sure you contact Quintus if you ever need a set of smashing wheels while you're there. If you book the bike in time, you'll get an even wider choice of bikes which include Benelli's, Triumphs, Ducatis and even Harley Davidsons. So guys, if you found the video useful, do consider leaving me a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. Also check out the other videos on my channel as well, and do leave me a comment under this video about what you felt about it, if you have any other suggestions for rental places in Goa and your experiences as well. My name is Devashish Puranik, and ride safe.